All right, hello everybody. This is a deep dive with Mr. Astro, Mr. Daniel Hathaway, first player to come on, by the way, so I appreciate that. I asked all the talent previously this first question. I'm going to ask you as well. If you could describe yourself given the chance, imagine this is your first job and you have to put it down on a resume. How would you describe yourself?
Vaguely outgoing, someone who didn't used to be a leader but learned to, and yeah, I think that's pretty easy. That's the only thing that I could say in a job interview that would come from Overwatch.
Wait, what? Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose if you went for a cashier job, you'd be like, yeah, I'm good on a keyboard. I can use a keyboard pretty well. I can use a mouse.
Yeah, go for a cashier job. High aspirations there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, esports, baby, that's the life right there. Astro, look, I want to go into a lot of like early stuff with a lot of players because I just said to you off camera, but the league I think needs to do a better job of like showcasing talent, and you've been around the scene forever. Like I was doing contenders and casting contenders, I was casting you in contenders. Now obviously we're both in the league. You've been around for a long time. We'll start from the very beginning, I suppose. How did you even get into like games or like competitive games? We'll start with like games first. Were you a gamer early on growing up?
So my dad played a lot of computer games. He played like Unreal Tournament, original like Counter-Strike, games like that. And he used to go to LAN events and stuff. So there were always lots of computers around the house, and gaming was a big thing. So he originally got me into gaming. I played pretty much everything from when I was like, must have been 5 or 6 years old.
5 or 6. That's 2005, right? Yeah, because you were born in 2000, which is crazy, by the way. Oh my god, born in 2000.
There are people that can join the league now that were born in 2005, and that's the bit that blows my mind.
Bro, I'm like 29.
That's me feeling old.
You're like 23, 24, bro. Come on, what the fuck do you mean? Jesus. I mean, at that age, like, for some reason, I use this as like a milestone for myself, but World of Warcraft came out in 2004. So, like, it came out when you were about 4 or 5. I'm assuming your dad was like, you said Unreal Tournament. Is that kind of what got you into like first-person shooter games and stuff back then? I
think the first sort of FPS I properly played was TF2. Okay. That was the first thing I had like thousands of hours in. But other than that, I played like, I think I played a lot of racing games, like driving games, and then Age of Empires. I remember playing a lot of.
Which Age of Empires?
A bit of 2 and a lot of 3, I think.
Yeah, 3 was elite.
3 was good when I was a kid.
God, yeah. Thinking back to it, that game was quite revolutionary. Like when buildings like destroyed, they were like crumbling and stuff, and you're like, whoa!
You could scroll in and zoom in and see them in detail and stuff.
You're like, this is what real life is like. Oh my god, it's so real.
That blew my mind as a kid. I played because Age of Empires 4 came out recently.
Yeah.
I played that quite a bit, and I mean, just the difference is insane. But now it just looks like a normal game.
I know. You look back at it, you're like, I really thought this was sick graphics.
Yeah, I thought it was special.
Like, come on, man. I thought that about Halo, to be fair. Like Halo 1, Halo 2. It was like, oh my god, this game. It looks so good. And man, I don't know if you kind of found it around that time period too. Around that time period when you were born, by the way. When you were fucking born. Like 2004, 2005, when you were like 4 or 5 years old.
That's probably when I started gaming.
Yeah, like my best friend like got a graphics card, and we were around his house like ogling this 128 megabyte graphics card, which we could play Battlefield 2142 at high def, and we were like, oh my god, this is the future.
A game changer.
You said you played TF2. Did you play competitive TF2? Because that seems to where like a lot of people come from is TF2. Did you ever like play ETF2L or anything?
I think I did scrims and whatever the like pug website was. I can't remember what it was called back then. I think it's still a thing now. But I remember playing quite a lot of scrims. Never did anything competitive in any game I played before Overwatch, actually.
Really? Any game at all? Like, were you high rated on like a game that had obviously TF2 didn't have a ladder, but like, was there any game you were high rated in?
League, I was pretty high rated. Okay. CSGO was just decent. It wasn't anything special. But I think Shoot Mania. I don't know if you've heard of that game.
Oh, yeah, no, Shoot Mania. Yeah.
I went to, I can't remember which event it was in the UK with my dad when I was 13. And there was this tournament where they had like a pro player in. It was when it was in beta. They had
Right.
a pro player in. It was like everyone gets to play against the pro. If you win, like you'll get free shit.
Oh,
I don't know if I'm allowed
no.
to say. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, what I don't mind.
Yeah, you get free stuff if you beat him, and then I managed to beat him my first ever time playing the game
Ooh,
when I was 13.
okay.
So I think that counts as my first win in a tournament, maybe.
First competitive win. I like that. What did you win?
It was a Razer keyboard, and I used it for like 5 years.
Nice.
I used it
Wait,
for a long time.
you got mileage out of that. What the hell?
Yeah, it was worth it.
Wow, where did Shoot Mania go, man? If anybody doesn't know, it was,
It was
like
such a good game.
It was an offshoot of Trackmania, like the same kind of company. Like they were trying to make an
Trackmania
arena
is great as
shooter.
well.
Yeah, another phenomenal game. Wow, so that was your first W. What did you play in TF2, by the way? Did you?
Scout, Soldier.
Yes. Why did I just knew you played Scout. I don't know why. I'm like, okay.
Any game with like mobility heroes, that's what I'll play. So in League, I only play fast characters.
What did you play in League to get? What rating were you in League as well?
I was Diamond 2 when I was in school.
Oh, okay, that's pretty sick. Like back then, it was pretty good.
And now, I mean, like a year ago in the off season, I hit Master.
Oh, wow. What role do you play?
Just support.
Fair play, yeah.
That was when I started playing support in every game.
I was going to say, is that something kind of, is there something that drew you to like the support role at all?
I think just in my friend group, no one else wanted to play support, so I got stuck with it.
Why is that the tale of everybody? Every support player that exists.
Every support is just like, no one else wanted to do it. Guess I had to. No other option.
Was any of your schoolmates good at FPS or like League of Legends as well? Or were you like a little bit of a standout when it comes to games?
I think there was like one person in our school who was Diamond in League as well, who I used to duo with. But other than that, not really. A couple of my friends are like masters in Overwatch now.
Okay, nice, not bad. Peeking up the ranks.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I hit rank 1 the other day, so.
Yeah, master's not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
It's
hey,
better
you'll
than
get there
what it could be.
What okay, speaking of like Overwatch real quick, can you explain to me your tag? Not Funny Astro. Well, I guess you can explain that in a minute, but Wildwolf. Where the hell did that come from? Your alt account.
So when you rename a Blizzard account, there's the option to like pick a random name.
Right.
And I don't know if you've seen, but I had an account before called Shadowstorm. That was the first one that I did it with.
God. So it's just an RNG name.
With account names, and like because they're the randomly generated ones, people can't stalk your accounts with the Battle.net trackers that they use. So I used it when I was making secret accounts, like practice new heroes and stuff like that. So I would just randomize a name and then practice on it like anonymously for a few months until people figured out it was me. And then I've just kept them because I can't be bothered to change the name. So
my God.
I've got just Shadowstorm, Wildwolf.
That is sick. Just look for any edgy 13-year-old 2006 gamer tag, and it's probably you.
The worse it sounds, the better it is.
Yeah. There's a certain level of like how stupid it is, and it just comes full circle to being like, it's kind of just ironic at this point. When was the first time in Overwatch you were like, hey, I'm pretty good at this game? Like, hey, I'm pretty decent.
I remember, I don't know, maybe it was season 2, because season 1, like the first ever season of Ranked, I didn't do that well. I think that's like rated 65 back in the old rating system.
Ooh, yeah,
which was pretty bad.
Yeah, Masters, yeah, and it was like
maybe
70
Diamond?
to 80 was like high elo, right? Yeah. My God,
but then
that
season
was
2,
a
I
long
hit
time
top
ago.
500.
Oh, okay.
And then from there, just got better somehow.
Was it on Lucio that you hit top 500?
It was Lucio only at that point. I never played anything else.
So you install the game, you pick Lucio, and then you were like, well, I'm just going to play this character forever.
Before Ranked came out, I played a lot of Pharah. Coming from TF2, playing Soldier, Pharah made sense. And then Pharah was actually decent back then. But I realised pretty quickly that Pharah is not that fun. Just get counterpicked half the time, so it wasn't enjoyable. And then I had to play support because no one else wanted to. And it's fast queue time. Oh, well, back then it wasn't fast queue times because no roll queue.
No roll queue, yeah. No roll queue. Do you kind of miss... This has been a hot topic for some reason, in my opinion. for the last like couple of years. Do you think roll queue it was a mistake? Do you think 222 or now 122 was a mistake?
I like roll queue, but I wish the ladder was all in one, integrated, like the top 500 ladder, because it's just boring to have like 4 different ladders that people can get rank 1 on. It used to be an achievement to get rank 1, and you could be proud of it, and you put it in like stream title or whatever, tweet about it. But now you see like every single day you open Twitter and someone else has got rank 1 on a different ladder, because there's 3 regions and there's 4 ladders, so there's 12 different rank 1s at the same time. So what's the point in having it?
It does feel a bit weird having them all separated, because then speaking of that, I did see a tweet from Hydron yesterday, and he quote tweeted a Sim1 trick that hit rank 1 on damage. I'm like, okay. And then Hydron like,
it's getting dumb at this point.
Ladder is a mess. Also, you say 4 ladders, open queue doesn't exist. Combined,
no,
actually.
Combined.
Sorry,
yeah.
combined.
So there's 5.
I guess there's 5. Yeah, I think everybody forgets.
There's competitive CTF as well.
Who's playing?
Don't forget about that.
Yeah, if your MMR's like anywhere near high enough, you're like 3-hour queue times. Like, if you're a grandmaster in
I've been playing it
regular.
Really?
How are you getting queues? You're like,
not that long. You wait like 10-15 minutes, you can find a game.
And they're like GM top 500 players, or are they like
no,
players?
Definitely.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's just against diamonds. It's not high SR lobbies.
Jesus Christ. So with you kind of installing Overwatch and then almost insta picking Lucio after at least 2nd season, is that obviously at that point you hit top 500, like, well, pretty decent at this game.
Yeah.
What was kind of the scene like in EU at the time? Obviously, more often than not, a lot of the high-elo players, this goes for any game, kind of just know each other on ladder. Did you just become kind of a known quantity at that point for playing Lucio? And is that how people kind of like either sussed you out or kind of scouted you a little bit? Like, what was the kind of story there?
I think people knew of me. The first time I ever like joined a team and properly tried to win tournaments was for UK LAN. It was for Insomnia.
Oh yeah.
Where I got scouted like last minute, weeks before it. I'm pretty sure it was because their other player dipped out, and then I subbed in.
Okay.
That was how I got on my first team, pretty much. Eminem.
Oh yeah. Damn,
yeah.
Old UK.
Solid team.
What was the team made up at that time? So it was you and who else?
Ooh. Tetrix, Mats. I don't know if I can remember any of the names. Maybe Shy. There was a UK player called Shy back then. But I can't remember other than that. There were like Dids. That's someone else.
Dids.
I'm pretty sure he was on the roster at that point. But yeah, that was the first LAN I went to. And I played in a few different UK LANs. I played a couple of Insomnia's EGX. And EGX was where I played against a team with Crusade and Fusions on in the finals.
Ooh.
And then, because they were joining Hurricane, which was at the time called Those Guys or something.
Yeah.
It was soon to be Hurricane. They were joining Hurricane, and they wanted a Lucio player. So, and they'd played against me at EGX. And they thought, he's pretty good.
This guy's pretty decent. What, did you win that?
That's how I got my in.
Did you win EGX?
No, we didn't. We got reverse swept.
Ooh, reverse swept.
I got reverse swept by Crusade and Fusions.
Oh, that's rough.
Their team was so stacked compared to us. It was so unfair. It was a miracle we managed to win 2 maps in the first place. I remember it was the most scuffed setups ever. You had to use the provided mouse, keyboard, headset. You couldn't swap them out for your own. And we kept trying to like sneak our own mice, and we get told off.
Really? Oh my god.
And you weren't playing on a stage. There were people just crowded around you. So it was a odd experience, and you could hear all the audio. The server was lagging constantly because you're at EGX. Like everyone there is using the internet. It was the worst event ever, but it was great. It
was great because it was so scuffed. Whole like people surrounding people. Yeah, exactly. Just great memories, right? I mean, that's what it is. At the
a lot
end of
different
the
to how it is now.
Oh yeah, like a little bit more polished and everything's a little bit more clean. Even with the later Insomnias, like there's the stage. Everybody gets up on the stage, even for like some of the early rounds too. Like it's pretty insane. Actually,
Yeah, Overwatch never got on the stage at the start.
Yeah, what Insomnia were you at? Was it
61, 62, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. I casted Overwatch. What was it? 58, 59, I think. I believe. Yeah.
So just before my time.
Just before you. Yeah. Damn.
I think that's when it was huge. That was when it was a big competition in 58, 59.
Yeah.
I think it got a bit smaller when I was playing it.
It was pretty decently sized. Yeah, we had a stage spot and everything. That was super fun. And yeah, because
it wasn't big enough to get the stage spot.
No. I mean,
was the game already by then? I mean, people were already saying it.
It's like every game that comes out, the competitive scene that's around for a year and a half, game's dead. Game's dead. Like, doesn't matter how old the game. League's been dying for 10 years, bro, and it's been out for 13. Like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, it's
always someone saying it's a dead game.
I mean, yeah. Have you go on Twitter every single day? Honestly, over the last couple of days. This is recorded on the 19th of January, by the way, about the teams and the getting legal advice. I'm like, oh my god, dude, this fucking every day I go on Twitter, there's some sort of meltdown. It's pretty wacky. Would you so kind of an overarching point here, or an overarching question? Did you have any like major influences initially when you were a player?
Well, I'd say there wasn't any like major influence from anyone in particular. But the one person or the one team that I'd always watched, I think everyone did at that point, was Lunatic High. Of course, like Toby J-Hong at that point, which it's still crazy to me that I was on a team with Toby on Fusion. After watching him when I was like 16 years old, I remember, because I was doing my A-levels at that point, and I remember in between lessons I had this little Chromebook, and I'd get on Twitch and I'd open up people's streams, and I'd always be watching them. So
you never imagined you'd be on a team.
Never imagined being there when I was 16 years old, watching them on Twitch in between my maths lessons.
Jesus. What did you study for A-levels?
Maths, further maths, and economics.
Oh, okay. Only 3 subjects. That's very smart from you. I did 4 and failed almost all of them. So that was
nice. I did physics as a 4th for the first year, and then realised that was a bad idea.
Yeah, 4 subjects at A-levels is a nightmare for anybody that's American viewers. A-levels are I guess, oh man, because
age 16 to 18.
Yeah, 16 to 18, just before university, you get to pick the subjects. And yeah, you obviously did a lot of maths-based things and physics. What was your kind of plan after that? Were you going to go into university and study physics further, or mathematics?
I was going to do economics.
Okay.
And I had a place at Exeter Uni, but of course, I chose Overwatch instead.
Yeah. Is this something you'd ever go back to, you think?
I mean, that's something I think about. Every off-season I come back to England, I'm like, what am I going to do with my life after this? what am I doing? And you sort of sit there and you're like, do I go to uni? I mean, I've got no clue. No clue at all. But if Overwatch ever dies, then I'll just pick a random thing and do that. Why not?
I think that it feels like esports every single year. Like, even I can imagine producers, casters, talent, like everybody, like, am I gonna go for next year, or what's going on?
How long will this last?
Yeah. I mean, the best thing about it, right, is just kind of riding that wave, and you're kind of enjoying yourself right now. And obviously, we're going into another year. You obviously on Gladiators currently, so I don't think you need to think about university at least for a while.
Not. I got a long time ready to think about that.
With you thinking about kind of economics, going for a course in university, what was your end goal for like after uni? Was there a job you had in mind that you wanted to fall into, or were you just kind of doing it to get a degree and then seeing what you could do after that?
No job in mind. I kind of enjoyed the subject at A-level, but everyone because all my friends now have finished uni, and everyone who did economics said, don't do it, it's horrible. So I might not go for that option now. I might pick something else.
What would you pick if you had the choice?
I don't know if there's any point going to uni. Who knows? Might just get a random job. See if I like it.
Random job, okay. So
just go on like LinkedIn or something. Just scroll through the jobs and pick one.
Just hope for the best.
That sounds good. Hope for the best. Yeah. I'm sure it'll work out.
A baker at
That's
Greg's,
my plan.
I don't know. Like, you can just do anything, I suppose. I mean, yeah, with being a pro player, it's very different. I always think about this compared to like Korea. They have to do military service and stuff, and that's a big stopgap for a lot of pro players because they just not even pro players, just everybody. Even like, dude, BTS is going to fucking military service, and they're the biggest group of all time, like in the world, and they still have to do that thing. But in the UK and America and whatnot, it's a little bit different. So I guess for you at least, if you do want to follow that path, you don't have to do something mandated first. And you've got a little bit more free reign, and that's always been an interesting dichotomy, I think, within esports, especially with the Korean players in the Overwatch League, maybe having to do military service. When
it puts a stop to like a lot of players' careers that I think probably wouldn't have retired otherwise.
Yeah, and that's what's super scary. About at least coming from Korea and having to do military service is going to like right back from like Hurricane and those guys. What would you say your big turning point in your career? Would you say it's that EGX game where you faced Fusions and Crusade and they kind of picked you up there, or what would you think really kind of propelled you to like new heights, like to where you are now?
I don't even know. I don't think there was a moment. I think the thing that really kickstarted my career was after I got banned for boosting and I streamed for 6 months straight. That was the best thing. That was the best part of my career. Just to highlight that. Yeah, that was the best thing that's ever happened to me because I got out of a Boston contract, which was a terrible Boston contract. And then I grew my stream and then I got onto Atlanta Academy. So...
Right. That actually...
that is like those 6 months, that is the time where I think my career really kicked off.
Getting banned. I got banned. And then it's the
best thing ever. Wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't encourage other people to do it, but it worked out for me.
It worked out for you. I mean, that's a little ridiculous. Obviously, I remember at the very early stages of the Overwatch League, there are a lot of people that were like boosting or like had done a little while ago that were in the league, and everybody was like, what the fuck? And there was, I know on the Korean side of things and Neva and stuff, people were going,
I mean, even when I went to Korea with Fusion, people were throwing my rank games because I boosted like 5 years ago.
Really?
And they were like open about it in team chat, like saying, I will snipe you, I will throw your games. Kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, it's a terrible thing over there.
Yeah.
It's illegal.
Yeah. It is, yeah. It's for people that don't know, you can get criminally charged for boosting accounts, and people have gone in Korea, yeah. People have gone to jail or like at least suffered consequences for boosting. It was definitely a big thing. It's a big thing in all games, but like League of Legends and StarCraft and whatnot, that is kind of where it's originated from, and it's pretty bad. People fucking hate that shit.
Yeah. Understandably, it's terrible for the game. It's terrible for the ladder. Like, I don't think 16-year-old me realized the moment where I quit boosting was when I started getting people who I'd boosted in my own rank games. I'm like,
wait a second.
I know you shouldn't be here. I know you're throwing my game.
I mean, if that didn't give you a kick in the ass, the banning
that was the real kick up the ass.
Wait, my games are fucked because of me.
Yeah, I'm ruining the game. I'm like, I did this to myself.
Do you think boosting is still like a massive issue within Overwatch, or is it kind of like died down?
I doubt it. I doubt anyone. I doubt there's enough money in it anymore to be a problem. I don't know though. I think it's one of those things you don't know how many people are actually doing it until you work as a booster. And then you have like a screen of hundreds of people like asking to be boosted.
Yeah, it seems like
you can't tell until you see that.
Yeah, it's a hard problem to really track. Even on the Blizzard side of things, right? It's a hard problem to track.
Well, there's definitely players who've come into the league in the past few years that have been boosted or have been boosters, not boosted.
I was going to say, wait a second. That would be insane.
Have been boosters that haven't been caught.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know how the league checks. But who knows? It can't be that hard to evade.
No, it doesn't, because like there's no detection system. Like, oh, this is weird. this account's now playing on this IP and shit, and it's like, oh, it's like now super good. Like it's there can't be checks permanently going on that are saying like, oh, different IP and now really good. Like it's I would say a lot easier probably than we think it is, but I would still imagine it's quite difficult. Although it's sometimes hard to tell if you're playing with a boosted player or not. So
could just be, especially with private profiles, makes 100 times worse.
Oh yeah, dude. What would you say that was one of the worst updates they did to the game? Because that was also a mad topic when they initially released that. People hated it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it's terrible for the game, but there are times where I'm grateful for it. Because if say a new hero comes out, say Kiriko came out, this is pretty much what happens every time a new hero comes out. I'm like, I will grind this new support hero, I will get really good at them. I'll practice it in case I need to play it in Overwatch League. And then I don't want to do that on my main account, because for my first 50 or 100 games, I might just be feeding my brains out. So I go on a Smurf, change the name, private profile, then you can get away with anything erect.
You really can.
Yeah. And I mean, it avoids people going on my profile and being like, God, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, like, why has he got a 30% win rate on Kiriko?
Yeah, what's going on here?
This guy sucks.
Is he throwing?
Let's talk about Kiriko real fast then, because obviously that was the newest support hero to be released into the game. And it felt initially people were like, she's not that good. Like, she doesn't do a lot of damage. Obviously, her TP's on a short cooldown. Or at least, I wouldn't say from the pro side of things, at least the public perception was just like, this hero doesn't seem crazy. Like, Incineroar seems super good, but then you can just LOS it with, like, Lucio speed or something. Like, how initially did you find the hero? Were you like, oh my god, this is, like, OP as shit? Or did it take a little bit of time to really get there?
Hooked, like, a week or two, if I remember right. I could be wrong. But, I mean, even, like, when you look at Grand Finals, that was the first patch with Kiriko, right?
I believe so. Not Grand Finals, it would have been...
Playoffs, all the playoffs.
Playoffs, yeah, playoffs.
So yeah, even, like, days before playoffs, we hadn't settled on that comp that was clearly, by the point playoffs started, everyone realized that, like, Monkey, Lucio, Kiriko, Reaper, Sojin was OP. But not every team had settled on that, like, up until days before. There was still people trying to play other stuff. We were trying to play other stuff. Other teams trying to play all sorts of stuff.
What was the one thing that everybody kind of tipped you over the edge, right? Because in my head it's Suzu. Like, Suzu is a ridiculous ability and, like, how fast you can play.
I think it was just
one time.
For me, I remember getting really frustrated about Kiriko ults.
Okay.
Because as main support, I was ult tracking, ult planning, and then you'd be like, enemy team has Kiriko ult. We don't. I guess we lose. Like, especially against that Reaper Monkey comp, it was just so horrible. It felt like there was no counterplay, and there wasn't. So,
I mean, they're always ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
it's fun if you're using it. It is insane. It's obviously it gets easier to counter as soon as, like, you play against it more, like, or not counter, but playing around it. Was there a comp that people were running instead of the Kiriko Lucio? What was the kind of prevalent comp there in scrims at that point?
I think we tried a lot of. It might have still been Kiriko Lucio, but I think we tried Luciana quite a bit with Doom Tracer, because that suited us really well. Because then we got Shuana, Kev's the Tracer, Rhino Doom.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Sounds very good. Some of the best people.
Sadly, the method didn't go that way. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Mainly blanked all that out of my memory because playoffs was terrible for us. But
I mean, it wasn't the best. Well,
it could have gone a lot better.
Yeah, there were a couple of times during the year, everybody was like, "Wow, Glads might be the best team in the world right now." Like, you guys.
The first half of the year.
Yeah, and then JQ
I think
Meta
we were.
came along. Yeah.
Even by the end of JQ Meta, I mean, talk to any of the other teams that were in NA.
They
by
said
the
you
end
were going
of it,
crazy.
We were the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
We figured it out. We just took our time.
Yeah, what happened there? How did it take you guys so long to figure that out? Was it just teams literally just being quicker? Was there something in the team that wasn't really working at that point, or, like, working with the comp? Like, how did that end up going down? Because going from a team that just got dominated on JQ to being the best JQ team according to other teams that were scrimming at the time, that's crazy.
I mean, that was the month in which Patty and Anne's were leaving, and Happy was coming in. So that makes things a lot harder.
Right.
To just generally like working with a team when you're swapping players in the middle of the season is not ideal.
Yeah, definitely not the best. Ideally, you want the same 6 or like however many 7 going throughout the year, but yeah. For your Glads year last year, obviously your team has made like crazy changes too. Who is your favorite person to actually work with? Like, who is your like go-to person in the team house or like the practice facility? Like, who would you say is your closest friend in there?
Kev.
Kev?
He was my roommate last year, and yeah, we got along well. Played a lot of ping pong in between scrims.
Team bonding. Is Kev good at ping pong too?
He's insane. He's better than me.
What a surprise. What a surprise. Dude's a fucking android. Like, he actually just built in a factory. I don't know how he's so good at everything. What is their day-to-day
says
like?
he's pretty good.
Oh, really?
So maybe there's some competition this year.
Dude, you need to do content around that. The Glads need to whip out the camera, do a little ping pong tournament. That'd be sick.
That would be sick. Maybe I'll tell the content people. They got to get on that.
Yeah, what the hell? That'd be funny as fuck. What is the day-to-day like in Glads? I know that's a very like open-ended question, but I don't think people really know what it's like to be on a team from the day-to-day. Like, how would your days normally go when you were scrimming or match days, for example? You can kind of take that in 2 different questions there. But what was your day-to-day like when you weren't having a match and just scrimming? Like, what was it like?
So we just had apartments, like a 5-minute walk away from our office. It was pretty much wake up, walk to the office, play Overwatch. We only did 2 blocks of scrims for pretty much all year until playoffs. Occasionally we did 3 blocks when it was a new meta or we were trying to figure something out, which was just 2 hours of scrims and then an hour break, then 2 more hours of scrims, and then that was it. It was pretty chill. It's probably the most chill team I've ever been on in terms of scrim schedule.
Oh, okay.
Nice and relaxing.
What was the most rigorous team then? Let's go the opposite direction.
Oh, it's got to be Fusion last year. I think we did so many 3 blocks in 2021.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of VOD review. Like a lot of VOD review. Like way too much for me.
Do you think there becomes a point where it's like diminishing returns?
With
VODs?
There were definitely people falling asleep in their chairs. That was regular.
Really? Oh.
It was it was bad. But yeah, I think there's got to be some in between. I think we did it. I think Glads is pretty much perfect this year. We did around an hour of VOD review and then 4 hours of scrims every day. And then obviously play ranked after if you want.
Yeah.
But for the first half of the year, you couldn't do that because Overwatch 2 wasn't out.
Yep. Don't worry. We're entering the first year where Overwatch 2 is fully released. All good.
Yeah.
Which is insane to say. Let's quickly talk about Fusion then. For obviously people that don't know, you should know. If you know Astro, obviously he was on Fusion at one point in his career. What was your highest point on Fusion, you'd say? Like the tippity top, the most exciting time to be on Fusion, the highest point there for your career inside that team?
2020, first year there, without a doubt. That whole team was just special. I think it's probably something about your first year in the league that makes it special. Because I think most players, if you talk to them, will be like, the first team I was ever on was the best. But it really was, even though we didn't manage to win a tournament. We came second very regularly, which is not bad. It could be a lot worse than second.
Yeah, that's what they always say. Like, look, they might be second, but they're regularly coming second. So.
Yeah, exactly. But our whole roster was just, we all got along really well. And then even for all the shit that he gets on social media these days and how much people hate him, I think KDG was the coach that I needed at that point in my career. He was great for me.
In what way?
Yeah, he was incredibly strict. Like, of course, that's what other people say as well, right? Like,
yeah,
he doesn't care about people's mental and he makes players cry and stuff. But I think at that point is kind of what I needed. Was just like a kick up the arse to play better and always try and do better instead of just being like, oh, this is good enough. And that's definitely a mentality that stuck with me for years, where he was always trying to make things like 1 second better. I'll never forget. There was this one clip of me amping our team through a choke, and he brings up the VOD. He brings up the VOD, and he whips out, and he yells at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I couldn't even tell like what the mistake was. And we're all looking at it, going, none of us know what the mistake is. He says, "Yeah, amps 1 second too early."
What? Okay.
He was just such a perfectionist.
Right.
There was no other way to put it. But it was good. I think every like tiny little mistake. I think that was when I was playing at my best. I think in 2020, I can say that I was probably the best Lucio that year. Other people would probably say it's close between Moth, FD God, Liege Gon, but I was like very confident that that was the top of my game right there.
Interesting. So you really needed that like strict like pinning down. You are doing this wrong, like, and
Yeah.
so obviously that's kind of stuck with you at this point.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any other players that kind of need that?
Moby and Chris were great coaches on that team too. I mean, when
Right,
you look at
right.
that coaching stuff, we had Saita, who didn't do a
Oh,
lot,
yeah.
but he
Oh
was
my
there.
God.
We had
Yeah,
Saita,
sure.
Moby, who goes on to being Toronto head coach, Chris, who's now coach of the year,
Yep.
and KDG, who is now, I don't know, doing not on a team, but at the time he was great.
Do you think a lot of players need that kind of strict kind of coaching style? Because it seems I'm almost like you in a way. Like I like to be regimented, like and really strict for myself at least, and
Yeah.
beating myself up at the tiniest things, at least in my commentary and stuff, and it kind of makes me better. Do you think other players kind of need that too?
I think it depends on the person. Like as a
Sure.
coach, you've got to be able to mold your coaching around the people that you have on your team. And if you end up with players that have weak mentals that will not be very happy if you yell at them and then get very upset about it, then it's not going to work if you just keep yelling at them.
Sure.
But there are some players where it will definitely work for them. Like
Different
it's got to
coaching
be done on a
styles.
case by case basis, and I think that's something he
For sure.
probably didn't do on other teams. I can't imagine him doing it.
I mean, that's why he's got the reputation in a way, right? As well.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just across the board. But for you, like it ended up working out, which is fantastic. How did it feel? You mentioned earlier, it's like, oh, you're watching Toby in like university, like just not university, sorry, in college, just like between your lessons. How did it feel playing with some of the greats as well from Career in your first year, like Carpe, obviously, who'd been around the Fusion for the longest time? Like there's a lot of legends that kind of passed through that team that you, as a rookie coming into that year, you must have been like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, how did that initially feel?
I think I was so nervous at the start. Like that roster was like Carpe, Poco, Fury, and like just everyone on that team was such a big name. I don't think that I like truly believed that I was up there with those names. But I mean, it was great, and those are players that I'm like, I still see when we go to LAN events and we'll go out together. Like, it's just, you told that to 16-year-old me, I wouldn't have believed you.
You're going out with drinks with like Fury.
Yeah.
You're like, huh? Like that's
Exactly.
crazy. That's insane. That was it's really funny. This is something I talked with, I think Scott, maybe it was Scott or Johnny or somebody, but it's like not, I wouldn't say obviously not putting words in your mouth, but like heroes, but people you look up to in the scene
exactly.
and be like, whoa, okay, holy shit, now I'm like next to you. That's really strange. Did you have anybody specifically that you did look up to prior getting into the league? Obviously, you mentioned Toby before, but was there anybody else that you kind of looked at and like, I want to be like him? Or it doesn't even have to be in your role. Like, was there someone else that you were like, wow, they are just clean as fuck at their role, like that inspire? I've already guessed major influences. I've already kind of asked you that, but was there anybody that kind of inspired you as well?
I don't think so, actually. I remember when I was getting like really high ranked on ladder before I was in Overwatch League. So when I was playing the UK lands,
Yeah.
I would watch back because there weren't POVs at this time, and I would watch back all of the pro matches, and I would think to myself, so I didn't really think any of the main supports were that good, and I'd played against them on ladder, and I didn't think they were that good.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't like. I'd watched them in matches, and I didn't think they were that good. But then again, they could play more than one hero.
Yeah.
So at the time, I didn't really. I mean, some of them might have not been able to because Lucio was meta for what, like 3 years at the start of the game.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I
he's
don't.
still
I remember watching a lot of pro games and being like, what are all these players doing that I'm not? Like, why am I not in the league in season 1? Because I remember in season 1 I had a tryout even though I wasn't old enough yet.
Okay. What team for?
LA Valiant with like
Oh,
agilities, Grim Reality, whatever that rest of that roster was, like Numlock maybe. I don't remember it.
Buster, I think,
But
too,
yeah,
right? Season 1.
it might have been. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. But yeah, I remember trying out for them. But yeah, I think that was like the start of Overwatch in the professional scene was when main supports were just in-game leaders. Like you weren't meant to be skilled necessarily. A lot of the main supports, like you look at, no offense to him, but Dak in season 1, the guy's stuck in master.
Yeah, like, dude, that was a meme for a reason, you know?
Yeah. Like,
I remember running into him and I'm like, wait,
because...
you're in the league, bro. Why
Yeah,
the fuck are you in my games? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, hey, Dak, how's it
I
going?
remember being tilted when he was on my team because he was bad.
I mean,
Like,
that is the era of like Win sitting on the
in-game
payload,
leaders.
like
exactly,
IGLs,
like
yeah,
wins.
like that's
All
just
of
kind of
those
what
players.
the role was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Back
obviously
at that point-
transitioned way differently
Yeah.
nowadays. Like a lot of mechanical skill, especially characters like Lucio. It's not like before. Again, I'm not sure the audience for this might be a little bit varied, but back when Lucio was first released, it was literally just aura heal bot and aura speed, like the
30-meter aura range.
shit. It was huge. Like you could be halfway across the map and you'd still be in like in range. It was ridiculous.
Required no skill.
Yeah, you just kind of run around.
In-game leader. That was the job. But
IGL baby. There we go.
I don't think. Yeah, I remember watching when I was younger and being like, "What are they doing?" And now I know that all they were doing is talking. So
yeah. You're like, why are they sitting on the
thinking
payload?
about
That
anything.
sucks. Like, what the fuck? Makes no sense. You just AFK.
Yeah.
What was your? We spoke about kind of some of the high points of your career. What would you say was the biggest low point of your career so far? What would you say?
Ooh, the time on Hurricane where we got relegated. That's got to be the worst achievement in my career.
Right.
Coming 8th in contenders, and that was right as Crusade had left the team. So I just got full playtime, and then we did really badly. So that was not a good moment. And then I'd say probably it might just be because it's the most recent thing, but 2022, like this year, like I mean, it's 2 weeks kind of. For the first 4 matches of Junker Queen Method, which was just 2 weeks, I played horribly. But I mean, everyone has bad weeks.
Yeah.
I'm over that now. It doesn't matter.
Are you someone that takes time to go over mistakes like that, or are you quite quick to be like, okay, whatever, go again, like doesn't matter?
I think I've never really like got in a slump before as bad as I did this year, where like I just felt like I was playing bad and I couldn't get out of it. But I'm confident that I'm out of it now. But previous to this, I was someone that just instantly snapped out of it the second I started playing bad. I had various things that I would do, and I'd just go and play Overwatch for 12 hours straight, and then I would start playing well again. But yeah, this was like the first year where I did that, and then I was playing bad, and then there was no ranked, or ranked at the time sucked, so I couldn't just go play Overwatch for 12 hours straight, which was not ideal. Didn't work so well. But this year, that solution will work a lot better.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Can actually just go play ranked for 12 hours and it'll be fine.
It is crazy to think that we didn't have the game, or like the public didn't have the game. Like, obviously we were in the alpha and the beta and shit like that, but like
ranked,
you queue up.
I mean, the quick play games
it didn't exist. Yeah, like you were there really to just, well, what an alpha and a beta is there for? It's just feedback. It's you play the game, you give feedback. Oh, this needs to be changed. This is weird. This is a bug or whatever. It's not supposed to be there for like high level play, which is obviously what you guys needed at that time.
There was a website and a whole Discord server that was set up for pugs that was fairly active, but the problem was of who to invite and who not to invite. And there were a lot of Overwatch League players who didn't play in it. I'd say like 80% of people in NA weren't playing in these pugs. They were just not playing the game. So there was only like a few people practicing. I think it was Glad's, Shock some days, and all of the Paris roster I remember was grinding it.
Okay.
Which was quite surprising because they'd just been signed as like, I guess they'd been signed as fresh new people and they wanted to grind, but yeah, a lot of other teams, you wouldn't catch them in pugs ever, even though they were invited.
Oh, I mean, maybe it ended up hurting their play. Obviously, it's hard to kind of quantify that too. I guess.
I mean, Dallas didn't play in the pugs and they won everything. So.
Exactly right. So
we were doing it wrong.
Yeah, maybe you just don't play them and then you end up winning.
Just don't practice.
Yeah, easy. Now, moving on to kind of. We spoke about your biggest down point. Is there any regrets that you have through your career? Is there anything you regret like doing or maybe not doing when you were kind of coming up?
I don't think so. I really think there's nothing that I look back on.
That's good.
And I'm like, damn, I should have tried harder. Like I should have put in more effort. Because I feel like pretty much most of the time I'm always trying to put in as much effort as possible. So even if I've played badly, like I don't regret it because at least I tried to play well.
Yeah, of course.
Like I'm not throwing on purpose, kind of thing.
As long as it's not blatant.
I think other than that, the only regret is like signing a contract with Boston. That was a bad idea.
Well, it worked out okay though.
Yeah, it worked out okay, but that was just pure luck. It was nothing. It wasn't a good decision on my part.
No. Well, you know, they always say like it doesn't matter if you made those mistakes or whatever because it ended up leading to something anyway. So if you change that, you might not be in the same position you are now. So
every cloud has a silver lining, kind of thing.
Yeah. No. Exactly. Exactly. Speaking about Overwatch and like being able to play the game, which is pretty sick. First being able to play the game for a whole year and like, you know, the general public can fucking play, which is ridiculous, by the way. It's crazy to think that last year we had a game that the pros were playing, but no one else could. Like, insane.
Especially for the first half of the season, because we couldn't even like, there weren't even pugs going for the first half because contenders didn't have it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. It was just Overwatch League. So I mean, can't complain about the first half of the season because we won everything. But it was odd to not be able to play ranked. I just played like a lot of DPS in Overwatch 1 because that was fun. And
I could not play Overwatch 1, dude.
I mean, no one could tell you off in the team for playing Overwatch 1 to practice and playing off-rolling because you're not even playing the same game. Yeah. They can't look at you and be like, you should be practicing Lucio in Overwatch 1 in a different game.
Yeah. Works completely differently. There's another fucking tank and...
Don't bug out wall climbing on walls.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of like weird, stupid bugs that were in like early Overwatch 2 was ridiculous. I don't know if you ever had the Rhine shield bash, where Brig shield bash ended up on Rhine and Rhine could shield bash. That was epic. That was really cool.
That's cool. I got stuck like I was just wall riding in scrims, and then sometimes I would just get stuck in the wall, and I would just just send it to Blizzard like, here's another one.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't be able to move until they killed me.
Oh my god. That is super silly.
At least that's better now. Like they fixed that.
That's true. There's been a couple of times, at least recently for me. Like I saw this Widow, I think it was on Blizzard World or something. They got stuck. I'm pretty sure this has been in the game since Overwatch 1. But they grappled somewhere but fell. But it was between a small ledge and a lamppost, and they got stuck.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's always the lampposts.
Yeah.
Every single glitch that I found is like around some weird lamppost or like box hidden in a corner, and then you just get stuck in them. But I think hopefully they're all fixed now. So for the second year of Overwatch 2, we've got a fully working, polished game, and I won't open up Twitter to Hawk posting the screenshot for the millionth time of his slam not hitting in mid-season madness, and that's why they lost the match.
Yeah.
We'll never see that again.
Out of all the pros, to be fair though, Hawk definitely was the most vocal when it came to like, this isn't working, this is working, like that's what you want from pro players and that play the game like a ton. Like even if it's on Twitter and shit, you know, he's posting this stuff. It's like, okay, that's
good feedback.
Good feedback. Yeah, that shit don't work. Hey, we'll fix that. Don't worry. Like it's.
I just wish that the devs would respond more often.
Right.
Because it doesn't. You don't know if the feedback's being actually listened to or even read at all if there's no like, okay, responded to it.
Yeah. It's tough. Like I think communication with the dev team is pretty tough at times because they also have a
they can't respond to everything. Yeah.
They can't respond to everything. Yeah, but I definitely understand your point. Where it's like, okay, I would like at least confirmation on this that you've seen it or like you're actioning it. Jesus. Yeah, but it's which is my biggest pet peeve. I would say like I did a games degree like computer programming and my like best friend. Well, he actually works at Blizzard now, but he's worked at crazy companies before that do game dev. And he's an extremely smart motherfucker. And like the stories he tells me, and like his day to day and shit, he's explained to me through multiple companies, and it's like they are fucking busy. Like, and on a free to play game, even more so.
I mean, that's what all game devs say is that no one who's playing the game understands what they're really doing all day. And to be honest, I don't, which is why I don't bitch on Twitter constantly, because they've probably got so much stuff to do that I have no clue about. But I just wish the game was better. Like,
what?
It's not saying it out of spite. You just want the game that we're playing for like 6 years professionally to be better.
What would you change right now? If you could
I'd fix the top 500 ladder, change it back to the SR system because this rank system is just ridiculous. Open it's pretty much just removing new stuff. So get rid of private profiles, old top 500 ladder back, combine all of them. I mean, one thing that I've always said would be really cool, I get is probably really unfeasible, but if you could have a slider when you queue up at high rank to choose between high quality games and fast queue times, so that you can decide if you want a really unbalanced fast queued game or do you want to wait 15 minutes to actually get good players. Like, I think that's something that would be really useful for high rank players, depending on if you want to spam practice or if you want to get actual good games.
Thinking about that as a system is like mind-boggling. Like how
it would never work. You'd never be able to do it. Like I have no clue how you'd make that.
Because you need like other people to do, and then it would depend. Like, oh, these 20 people had higher quality and like but they're not online, and like, dude, that would be wild. But yeah, it would be a sick feature. Yeah, sick feature, but yeah, I don't know. That's a bit insane.
It's a dream.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, you can hope for things that can't necessarily be made. That's fine. Like, I think with the changing of the top 500 ladder, I think that's quite interesting. Maybe, like you mentioned before, merging them all together again, because it doesn't feel as prestigious anymore.
Even like top 500 isn't an achievement anymore. You'll get people who are in Diamond that have the top 500 challenger number under their under their name because they played Open Queue or something, so they've got top 500 icon, top 500 challenger.
If I wanted to get top 500 like consistently, although to be fair, I will defend myself quickly. Did reach top Grandmaster 1 and top 500 recently, fell back down to GM2, so at top 500. But
they're close enough.
I got there, you know, 240 or whatever it was, and then I'm out of it now, so rest in peace. But if I wanted top 500 genuinely, like I wanted the title like super bad, I'd just play Open Queue. Easiest way to get it. Yeah. I'd just play Open Queue, just fuck around. Or like
Diamond.
Exactly. I could smash some Diamond players. It would be fucking easy. Like, it's a bit insane how much of an achievement it was like back then versus what it is now. Combining
it used to be such a big thing, and it used to be like, maybe I was just worse at the game, but it used to be difficult to get top 500 in like season 2, season 3, season 4, like around then, was the real peak of when it was like ranked was actually difficult.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, like Dante actually put out a tweet the other day. New teammate, by the way, I just saw on Twitter. So that's pretty fucking awesome. As a side note, thank fucking God, because if he was left on the free agent table, Jesus Christ, someone fucked up big
There's
time.
no way he would have been left on the free agent table.
Yeah,
He's too good.
He's so good. But Dante put out a tweet the other day saying the competitive ladder, or like ranked, at least in the upper echelons, is getting ruined by pro players or like contenders players not joining voice and just trolling. What do you think about that? Do you think that's actually a current problem that we're facing, or you guys are facing?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not so on the train about communication ranked. I don't think you need to really talk in ranked, but you at least need to try and like not be mega toxic. Like, it's just the games used to be so good, especially if you had 5 contenders people on your team. Everyone would come because everyone would be like, "Wow, this is a high-low lobby. They're rare, right?" Like everyone wants to try, and now you get 5 contenders players on a team. People are just fucking about. I mean, I get EU is different to NA because EU is just everyone is fucking around because the region is just dead. There's nothing left for Europe. Like there's no hope. Sadly. But yeah, I think I would agree. The new generation kills it, and they call everything cringe. Like,
yep, that is the word of the generation. I think is the word cringe.
I just like the way I see it is they'll see someone streaming. Like, if I wanted to go and post and spam TikToks and do YouTube and all of that for my brand, which is something I don't particularly want to do because I just don't enjoy it. But as a pro player, everyone knows this is a great thing to do, right? Like you get your name out there, you build your brand, all that, all that stuff. But I reckon every single contenders player would never want to play with you again because they would be like, "Ah, you're cringe."
When like, in reality, it's good, literally for the future, and like everything about your life would be improved if you just like put your name out there more.
I reckon most of the contenders players would be like, "Ah, I don't want to do that. It's cringe." Like all of that stuff, like catering to casuals. Like I don't want to be doing all this. Whereas it's something you've got to do. Like if you think about it, who in contenders do you know right now who streams regularly, who you like, you know their name? There are very few people. I think the biggest name in NA contenders at the moment is Tree, and I think he might stream a bit, but in terms of other stuff, like I don't know. Maybe it's just me not paying attention enough to contenders, but I think these people like aren't trying as hard as people used to get into Overwatch League.
Right.
So I remember everyone used to be spamming on Twitter, all the socials, all the time to try and build things so that they could get into Overwatch League. But it just doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. I think that ties into people not trying in ranked. It's just people don't care as much.
It's really interesting you say that. It's a problem, and that it just kind of expands to like tryouts, I would imagine too. Like obviously they're going to try and tryouts, but then if X person, for example, has a bigger brand, a bigger stream, say one guy streams or one person streams to 500 viewers versus like 10 viewers, but they're like, the 10 viewer streamer is like slightly better than the 5. You probably want the 500 viewer streamer that also has like maybe. In
terms of an org, you probably want to go for them, yeah.
Yeah, because they're gonna play well anyway. You could probably coach them up to the level of that other guy, but like they have a brand there that people can utilize, and like content and marketing, because that's how teams make their money as well. Is marketing, content, sponsorships, and it all rolls into one. So it's I think you bring up a really good point. It's interesting to see this, I guess, newer generation, and what you and Dante have said, and compared to like this older generation, which is either in the league now or they've kind of retired. Is there any advice you'd give to those younger players from your position right now?
Care more about the things you say, like the shit you say in ranked game. It's gonna matter at some point. Like if you're streaming. If you're just a known toxic person on stream, it's going to be harder to get a team. Like stuff like that. It's so obvious, but Maybe they're just too tilted to not be toxic as fuck or something. Or like all these NA contenders players that Dante talks about. I think NA is probably worse for it than EU.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But I mean, EU, the chance of getting an Overwatch League at almost nothing.
Slim, unfortunately, yeah. How would you... This is a very hard question to answer, so I can appreciate if you don't know the answer or haven't really thought about this before, but what would you do, or like, how would you even change that? Because EU in the Overwatch League used to be a fairly big like representation. A lot of players from EU, a lot of players from Denmark. I don't know. Denmark also breeds beasts in like every game for some reason. I don't know what it is about Denmark.
Especially CS:GO.
Yes, CS, League of Legends too. There's a lot of pro players, a lot of Danes. But in the Overwatch League, it's like, man, there's not a lot of EU boys anymore. There's obviously a lot of Americans, a lot of Korean players, the Chinese players too, fucking pending on what the fuck happens with the league. But EU, just
I think we got screwed by like season 1 and season 2 because all like the EU super teams, like season 1 Mayhem was the EU super team, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't sign a good team, but everyone was hailing them as an EU super team, and then they go to NA and everyone's like, EU isn't good. And then from there, like you sort of set on a downward spiral. And then the league is in NA, so if you're playing with good players, you have to be on high ping. There's no tournaments here anymore. Like the only thing holding the region up is just Saudi leagues.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
It's the only thing holding it together at this point, I think, because I don't think anyone's watching EU contenders. Like if I'm an Overwatch League manager,
You're watching
probably
NA.
probably not watching EU contenders. It's the same names just coming back again and again who have been in the league and now they've gone back to contenders and they're winning contenders, but when they were in the league people didn't like them or didn't want them on their team.
A lot of big names have
just an odd one.
Retired recently too, like Onigod has apparently retired according to Liquipedia. I mean, I'll pull it up right now, but a lot of big EU players. Oh yeah, Henningsen as well. Henningsen was on...
That is an old name.
That is an old name. For anybody who doesn't know, Henningsen was a player when I casted Contenders.
He was on Singularity.
He was on... Yeah, he was on pretty much every team, I think. Yeah,
he's been on all of them. I think he's been on every team in EU.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, Copenhagen Flames, August and Hungary. That's when I casted Contenders. He didn't play for Singularity. He played for HSL. And that HSL went to Gauntlet. And that's when we cast...
And they did terribly.
Gauntlet and Korea. And they took...
They were the worst team ever.
2 maps or something ridiculous?
I don't know if it was even that. It was terrible.
It wasn't good.
But that was the time where like EU looked really bad, right?
Yes.
Whenever there was global competition, they just did shit. So
yeah, I'm trying to... Oh yeah, they came 9th, 10th. They got 3-0'd by Talon. Yeah, they didn't do well. But that was... It's worth keeping in mind, that year, 2019 going into 2020, was the giga-stacked year for Korean contenders. That was basically the Dallas Fuel, which was
Runaway.
Yep, exactly. Runaway with Heese, with Mag,
Nijagon,
Gangnam Jin. You did, yep, because you were on Atlanta Academy at that time.
Yep.
And yeah, HSL bombed out of the tournament without taking a map.
I think even when they got there, they knew they weren't going to take a map. So
rough.
Tragic fate.
Actually tragic. I'm looking at the board now.
They were just enjoying the free trip to Korea.
Ridiculous, yeah. And that was Fisher, Zapri, Chow, Henningsen, Ding as well. Ding, what a legend. Weird story about Ding, actually. I knew one of his best friends, Grisson, from League of Legends when I used to cast League of Legends, and he's like best friends with Ding, which is a bit weird. Askoff as well, and Izzy as the coach. And Askoff was a player at that time.
Still in the league.
And he's still in the league, yeah, as a coach. So people are making it.
Hope.
But yeah, I mean, apparently Mistakes is retired, Onigod, and yeah, a lot of
Mistakes used to be so good.
Old players. Yeah, he did.
He was incredible at Tracer.
Absolute legend of the game.
Unlucky.
Yeah,
EU's just fallen downhill. Boston. I mean, we're just better at different games, you know? We've got like CS:GO.
Yeah.
Probably Valorant. Better than NA. I don't know about Valorant.
Yeah, League of Legends, NA just blows. Like, biggest region,
Yeah.
one of the biggest, like, they just suck. It's
Yeah.
the funniest thing about League of Legends
They
esports.
spend so much money as well. That's the funniest part. They like
$1 million
the
contracts.
highest paid region, just always bad.
Yeah, which
It's
is
fun
insane.
to watch.
How the hell? NA near airport meme every World Cup, not World Cup, every Worlds that comes up. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
man. How much you getting paid? Oh, like 7 figures? Probably should get out of groups at Worlds. Thoughts on that? Like, it's ridiculous.
I mean, at that point, they're just like playing to take the money. They don't care about
I know,
winning.
yeah.
If you're earning like 2 million a year, I don't care if I win worlds.
Exactly.
I'm loaded.
Yeah, you just invest
Set for
half
life
that
at
money.
point.
You are set for life. If you get a $1 million contract, if you invest half of that money in like a decent portfolio, you're done. You don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
You're just set for life. Like, you can
It's
kind of
easy.
understand. Yeah. And then compare that to Overwatch League salaries at the moment, like, is, you know, that kind of...
Something I find funny, I think it was 2019 and 2020, they posted the salary stats.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember seeing these, but they just stopped. Isn't that really strange?
Yeah. I mean...
Odd thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic as well at the moment. Like, the esports and like, is it a bubble? Is it exploded already? Like, everything getting brought down, which is kind of in line with how the market's gone right now. And, you know, you kind of understand. But...
And is it COVID or like...
Exactly.
Is it something else?
Yeah,
it's impossible to say what's gone wrong, but...
COVID didn't help. I know that for fucking sure.
COVID definitely didn't help.
COVID fucked a lot of things, like 2020 and obviously the 6-month off season that we had at one point. Like, nah, it was, and then Overwatch 2, like everything kind of like,
yeah, everything went wrong at the worst time possible.
But this year,
we're going strong.
Exactly.
This is the year
I
to
mean,
come back.
We're
Are we still on YouTube? Are we on Twitch? Who knows?
Good question. Can't answer that because I have no idea. I would like to know. That'd be pretty fucking cool. But
it would be cool to know. Who knows when the season starts? I don't know.
That would also be kind of cool to know. There you go. All right, Astro. Well, actually, last question. You've explained Wildwolf. Please explain why your name is Astro. You explained to me a long time ago, but I'm not sure the audience actually knows. Where does your name come from?
So when I used to play, I don't know. I should probably start before that. When I was a kid, I used to read these books called Astros, which is like a fun... I can't remember what it's about. It's about dinosaurs in space. I'm guessing from the name. But then I went to play RuneScape, and I went to name myself Astrosaurs, and it was sadly taken. So I tried Astro, and that was also taken, and it recommended me Funny Astro.
So then RuneScape is the origin.
RuneScape recommended. What a recommendation. Been stuck with it for what, going on 15, 16 years now.
Hey, no regrets. I mean, you can't really change your name now, can you? So
yeah, it's too late to change it. That's what I always tell myself.
Yeah, you are Funny Astro. You know what's really funny, ironically, is when some casters I've heard call you Funny. They don't call you Astro, they'll call you Funny. I'm like, dude, no. Like, his name is not Funny. It's Astro, not the funny part. Like, that
some
always
teammates call me Funny.
Really?
Like, for years. And it just sticks. Like, especially Koreans, it's easier to pronounce Funny than it is Astro, I think.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. It will be more syllables in Korean for Astro than Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Funny sticks, especially with Koreans.
There you
so
go.
I'm used to it at this point. At the start, I got really annoyed when anyone called me Funny, but at this point, I'm stuck with it.
It's whatever.
I've dealt with it.
I normally give this last bit to you, like the floor. If there's anything you kind of want to shout out or talk about, or literally anything, you can. I've got your social media up on the screen, but I'll also put it down in the description, your stream, your Twitter, and whatnot. But if there's anything that you wanted to kind of add on to the end of this, feel free.
Nothing more than that. Just follow all the socials. Check out LA Gladiators. Go see our new roster that will maybe be out by the time this video is out.
Good question. Don't know when it's coming out, but we'll see. Yeah, okay, cool. Dante, like I said, recorded on the 19th of January. Dante has just been announced like this morning. So that's pretty exciting. Well, Astro, I do appreciate you coming on, being the first player to do
Thanks
this.
for having
me. Yeah, I wish you all the best this season, and thank you, everybody. See you next time.